Hi guys, it's Asha and
Natalia.
from Q Workshop, and we have today a special guest, Seth Skorkowsky, a well-known YouTuber, writer, game master, and 219 Gold Annie Award winner for best online content and our RPG icon. Hi Seth.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So please let us know in the comment below if you can hear us and see us. I think everything is okay. And just a quick reminder, just please follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and of course subscribe our new YouTube channel. And Joe,
Don't forget Twitter and our community on Facebook.
yeah, with the special contest, but maybe
Later.
about it.
Okay, how are you, Seth?
I'm doing great. I'm a little bit more awake than the two of you with time zone issues, but
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm good.
It's 3 a.m. here in Poland, so yeah, we were pretty sleepy, but we have like loads of coffee, and
Yeah.
right now we have like not blood, but caffeine in our veins, so we are managed. And
Well, there comes a point where it's just easier to power through to the next day than it is to try to sleep. So,
well, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine.
Okay, so we have some question for you. So maybe let's start. How did your adventure with RPG start?
oh well. When I was a young man, so in the United States we have what was called the Satanic Panic in the 1980s,
Yeah.
where there was people would tout on TV how this game would drive you insane and all of that. And I grew up in a deeply religious area, so I of course heard all of that stuff when I was a kid, which, me being me, meant I really wanted to see what the hell this was about, because and when I was 12, I was almost 13. There was an ad in some little magazine that was aimed at kids my age, talking about the new Dungeons and Dragons box set that was coming out. And I had mistakenly believed that Dungeons and Dragons was illegal because it drove people insane and into murderous frenzies. So I was so excited that this illegal game that I've heard about for years was finally back on the market, that I got it for my 13th birthday.
Wow.
I was disappointed that it did not drive me insane or anything, but I guess it worked out. And shortly after that, I found some people who already did play, so they got to show me versus me fumbling through it with this box set. So I was quickly adopted into a group after I did my first little solo adventure with the box set. Then my next game, I actually had an experienced game master, and that so pretty much started on my 13th birthday. So it's easy to keep track of.
So, do you remember your first game master?
Your game?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, my first, technically my first game master was myself, because the box set had this little adventure. You got to go through like an old, I don't know if you have choose your own adventure type books when you were a kid,
Okay.
but then you roll the dice. And then my first game under a game master is one of the dads. He'd been playing for, at the time I thought was forever. It was like, he's been playing for 12, 13 years, which that's like the beginning of all gaming. And he got to teach me quite a bit. So, and I remember that game very clearly. I can't tell you what I ate for lunch, but I can tell you exactly about a game I played 30 years ago. So that's it made an
Wow.
impression.
Yeah, that's something special. And please, guys, remember, if you have any question, you can just leave a comment
In our
below,
chat.
and we will answer it later. So,
What RPGs do you like?
yeah.
Um, Currently, my favorite RPG is Call of Cthulhu by Chaosium. That's been a big hit with us the past few years. Then we also have been doing a couple others. Let's see, Traveler through Mongoose was a big hit with us. We played that extensively over the past few years. We've been doing a couple side games of the new Cyberpunk Red. One of my players picked that up since he saw I was running so much. He's like, I'll run you through this. So it's been great. So I've been playing that. And also I've been doing a side game of what's called Cult Divinity Lost, which I have really been enjoying. But that's whenever we can fit it in. So, but my favorite overall is Call of Cthulhu. It's been a wonderful game for us.
Yeah, cool. So we heard that you are quite a collector of dice. So do you know how many dice do you have?
I could do it by weight maybe. So I've got a couple random little boxes of them, like little sets. But so my main dice box is this, and it's about 2 inches deep of just random dice. These are my dice. I don't loan these out. Then whenever I have somebody come over and they're either new and they don't own dice or they forgot their dice at home, I have this bag, which is
Wow.
these are my loaners. So it's
Impressive.
broken up into different things, one for each size. So there's a couple pounds of dice in that, and I can't even tell you what all of them are. They didn't make the cut to be in my box of dice. So I've got a lot.
Yeah.
That's why I've always found it weird when people talk about there are one set of dice. Like, how do you have one set of dice?
Well, in our
I've always
office
just
is
acquired
also a lot of dice, so
But it's,
yeah.
it's
You guys have
Yeah. Yeah, but your
probably
collection
more
is,
dice than that in your drawer right now. But
yeah,
But yeah, your collection is really impressive. So,
Impressive.
yeah.
yeah.
it's a lot. But it's just after enough time, you kind of slowly acquire them. And the problem is I had several sets over the years that I thought I still had, and then one die out of each set has just gone missing
Yeah.
somewhere in the ether. I don't know where. Possibly my cat was involved. I'm not sure. But so there's very few complete sets in that box. But when we moved, I did find a ton of dice that Kitty knocked under furniture when you're moving the couch. Also, it's like, oh hey, there's that.
Okay, but can you tell us also, like, how long have you been a game master yourself?
I started running my friends through games when I was 14. So yeah, 30 years.
But really young, 14. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Well, they were young too. So and their point of reference wasn't too great. They didn't know how bad I was because they hadn't seen that many others. So I think I got a lot more forgiveness for that.
Okay.
I didn't say I was good, but I did try. I did do it.
So please tell us, have you heard about Q Workshop dice before our collaboration?
I had. I'm trying to think actually when I first heard about you guys. I don't remember. I have my dice. My wife has a set of Q Workshop dice. She plays a game called Ingress, so she has her Ingress dice, and I have somewhere in this room some of their large 12-sided hit location dice. I picked those up. So so I've seen a couple Key Workshop dice. I actually personally had never owned any outside of that big hit location die, but several of my players did. So I was aware of you.
Okay, that's great actually. Okay, but what was your first reaction to Q Workshop's proposal of creating your own dice set? Do you remember?
Okay, well, so last February, a little over a year ago, I got an email saying like, "Hi, we want to do this collaboration," and I am notorious for not checking emails, or I'll see an email and not get back to it, or whatever else. I'm awful. So fast forward to March, and then I get another email saying like, "Hey, we never heard from you," and And that was the one that I read. I was like, oh my God. So then I was kind of this quick reply of like, I'm sorry, I'm really bad about checking my emails or responding to them or whatnot. So it wasn't as I guess dramatic as everybody was. It was delayed by a whole month before I saw it. And part of that's with the channel. I get so many emails about just weird things people might want to put on my channel that I don't always read them too in depth. So I completely missed it for the first month. And then I was like, oh my God, I might have just lost this opportunity. So then there was a quick rush to like, yes. So it was delayed excitement.
Okay, and actually, your dice set is really special because normally in Q Workshop we produce like classical 7 pieces dice sets, and yours have 10 pieces. And it's like, the 7 classical one and 2 extra D100s and 1 really special one, 12-sided D6. So can you tell us, what preference do you have about dice, and tell us more about Icon Dice and what was behind some of your choices and inspiration?
Okay. Well, man, there would have been a lot more in that set if you guys let me, but then you're like we can't charge $90 a set to have all the dice you want in it. But so for my dice preferences, I like it to at least be clear to read. My measurement is if the person beside the person who's rolling a die can read it, that's good enough. So people like to say, is like, I can read it across the table, but my eyesight's not great. So if I can at least read the person next to me, that's clear enough for me. And I prefer numbers over symbols. A lot of dice will have symbols instead of numbers. One of the problems, though, is I have so many sets of dice that sometimes they put the symbol as the high number, and sometimes they put it as the low number. So whenever I'm running a game and I roll a bunch of dice, and symbols come up, I then have to pick it up to check to see what side that symbol was because I don't know. So I wanted numbers on every face. And as far as the design, I wanted something that kind of hit some of the things I'm into, which is fantasy, a little bit of the occult styling to it. So it's kind of got this design around it that is occult-ish. It's not actually occult. And as far as the extra dice, since Call of Cthulhu is my preferred game, with that game, you might need to roll up to 3 D100s at one shot, and as well as this plus a single D10. So I wanted all of those to be there. And the reason I have a color switch on it is I had set my own dice set up that way, where I had 3 D100s and a single D10, and they were all the same color. And when I was in the middle of running a game and I needed to roll percentage dice, I'd reach down and I would grab 2 of them that were the right shape and I'd roll it, and it ended up being there were 2 D100s. So I then swapped the colors for all the D100s to be different than the D10. That way that would stop happening, because that happened every single time. And so that was the reason we had the color change. And then with the 12-sided D6, there was a company a few years ago started making them, and I was an absolute hit. I like them. I like the way they feel. The D12 is actually my favorite shape of die. I guess everybody's got their favorite shape. I like the shape. It rolls well. It's got a big readable face. D20, they get to kind of small little squares, but we got a big 5-sided face. So I actually really like that die. And that was one of the big things I wanted, is I wanted to, if I'm going to have a set that's got my name on it, I want my favorite type of D6 that's in it, because that's my favorite.
Yeah, and it's pretty special.
Yeah, it's really great.
It is. And so I was like, I want 2 of those, and give me a second D20, and I want like a one-stop shop set. And I was like, no, we can't put every die you want. You have to limit yourself. Because I was originally going to be like a kid in a candy store.
So, what was the most unexpected thing that you learned during this creation process?
Part of what is the there is so much consideration giving to a lot of your distribution. That was one of the big ones. As originally, I did a gag some time ago where I talked about dice curses, and I said the cure to them was to put a rubber chicken's foot
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
as the cure. So I had a how-to video on how to make a rubber chicken's foot. It's really stupid, and so at one point I said, well, what we could do is we could have we can't include an actual rubber chicken's foot. I mean, but what if we had it where there was one in the box? It had like a little dotted line around it, and people could cut out their cardboard chicken's foot to ward away their dice curses. And it was like, yeah. So some regions we distribute in get really twitchy if you start putting voodoo stuff on your dice set. It's like, okay, I get that. I grew up in a really strict area like that, so okay. So we didn't get to do that. And also on the back, I'm doing a thumbs up because normally I have a flask in my videos with a toast, but then it was like, well, some of the areas that we distribute in have much stricter drinking laws, and since these are technically a toy, and you can't have it be promoting drinking on it because we can get in trouble. Like, oh wow, I hadn't considered that. That makes a lot of sense when it's pointed directly out to me. So there was a lot of like, hey, that's a great idea, but
Yeah, always.
so that, and every time I was explaining, I was like, oh, I'm disappointed, but I can't argue with that logic. So there was a lot more considerations to it, which I think anything is like that. You think you're like, oh, I know how this works, and then you start learning how it works. It's like, I had no idea how any of this stuff worked. The other one, though, is going through a lot of the faces whenever you'd send the art to me. It's really hard to judge what it's going to look like on the die because it's on my screen. You know, each face is like this big and it's this stark black and white. You're like, oh, okay. And you know, when you look at the die, it's only like this big, so you're trying to like keep that in mind of like, it looks good when it's bigger than my hand, but how clear will this be, or how good will the design be when it's smaller than my fingernail? So that was kind of an odd learning experience because I would try to shrink it down, see how small it could get, but then my monitor is messing with how easy it'd be to read versus on a die. So it was a lot more to it than I thought there would be.
Yeah. But I think this design is very special and unique. So what can I say? Good work.
That was all your artists. I feel bad whenever I would like reject some of the patterns because they were good. It's like, yeah, I can't do that. And here I am all like, no, that's not good enough. It's like, that right there would have taken me a week to do. And if they had shot me down, I'd be mad. And they're like, nah, and send me a couple more. So there was a lot where I was like, I feel bad rejecting this particular thing because I don't know, it looked really difficult. I couldn't do it. So.
Yeah. Well, our designers are already magicians. So.
Yeah, they're great. Okay, and how do you feel as RPG icon?
I don't know.
Tough question.
So I've got a lot of friends that are also YouTubers or podcasters or whatnot. So they have been playfully giving me a lot of crap about it. So I'll kind of log into some game we're doing or some chat, and they're like, "Oh, it's the icon here." Like, "Oh, hey guys," we usually just sit around and just. Even if we play, we usually spend like an hour or two after the game's over just goofing off and chatting about whatever. So they love making me sound like I'm a bigger deal than I feel like I am. I don't feel like an icon. I don't know. I've always just felt like a dork that has a camera, and I don't really feel like an influencer or any of those titles they give to it. Okay. When I won the Annie Award, I was probably the most surprised person in the room. I have the most I haven't seen any recording of it, thank God. I gave like the most awkward acceptance speech because I was completely taken off guard. I was mostly just excited that I somehow made it into the people that were in that final 5 to be voted on. But I was like, oh no, I'm a dork with a camera. There's no way that, these other people could possibly, they're going to beat me. That I'm not worried about that. I'm just happy to be here. So I don't really see myself as an icon, mostly because I don't think that I necessarily do much better or know more than a lot of other people, because I will watch what other people do and I'm like, wow, that's really intelligent. I never thought of that. Or they'll do something that's like, wow, that's really talented. I can't do that. So I don't really see myself as a big deal. Just a dork. I mean, if it helps get me into a party, that's great. But that's
So, who is your icon? Do you have any?
okay. So I so my other thing is this. I'm an author, so I've actually gone to a lot of conventions. I have met many big authors. I've sat on panels with them, and very quickly uh, starstruck or any of that when you're in the room or you're chatting with somebody who is famous. It goes away very quickly, because also when you're coming kind of as a guest, there's kind of this voice in the back of your head that's like, be professional. Don't become a fanboy. You're a peer. And so that's just how I've gotten used to it. I've never fanboyed in my life until in Gen Con 2019. And I was actually with she's a good friend of mine. She was actually my original publicist. And we're walking around Gen Con, and I went to the Artel Saurian table, and Mike Pondsmith was there. And I played Artel Saurian's Cyberpunk 2020 for years and years and years. And Mike Pondsmith has always been one of my big personal heroes, because his games are the ones that actually pulled me out of only playing D&D. And when he looked at me, I went full fanboy. Like, I didn't know I could do this. And I'm just guggling out just nonsense of this kind of starstruck moment. And my publicist, she's kind of like, she has this jaw dropped look of like, what in the hell? And in the back of my mind, I'm kind of looking at her too, like, shut me up. Like, I am aware of what's going on, but I cannot stop. So if I was going to say who one of my biggest icons would be, it would be Mike Pondsmith, the only man alive who has ever gotten me to go full lost reason fanboy, gushing, embarrassing myself. I quickly had to flee that situation because it was bad and it was a horrible surprise. So I'd say Pondsmith.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that's a great story.
Yeah, true fanboy. Okay. Okay, but can you tell us more about your books, actually? Because, as you said, you are also a writer, so...
Oh man, I didn't even. You normally have like a stack next to me, and it's like in the other room. So I do primarily, my novels are all. It kind of gets lumped into a category called urban fantasy, and that just means modern day fantasy. So I do one series. It's about a bunch of modern day monster hunters who are chasing, monsters around the world, and that's my Valdekin series. It's 4 novels. That was my first novel sale, was that, and that the first one, Dameron, came out in 2014. And then I also do a bunch of short stories, sword and sorcery, thief adventures, and it's kind of modeled after the Fritz Leiber, Fawford and Grey Mauser stories, which are very influential on me. So they're very tropey, a bunch of, I hit all the tropes of just action, adventure, little short stories. So I have 2 collections of those. A lot of those were released in various magazines over the years. They're kind of self-contained little adventure stories. And then once I had enough, we put them together as a collection and sold those. So that was the first one of those was Mountain of Daggers. And then in 2020, right before the world pandemic hit, I released my last novel, or newest, not last, Ashes of Onyx, which is another modern day fantasy story, but very, very different than all the other stuff. And it is, I think technically it's called a new weird because it's not in any particular genre of, it's mixing epic fantasy and urban fantasy and portal fantasy. And it's about a sorceress who is basically, it's a revenge story. She is going after the person who stole her magic and killed her friends. And she is, at the very beginning, about as bottom as you can get. She's a drug addict who has very few friends and everything's falling apart. And then she gets this opportunity. Well, once she finds out that everything wasn't her fault, and then she gets the opportunity for revenge, and it becomes this very big epic story. So that's Ashes of Onyx. I think it's actually my best novel, but it's not necessarily my favorite. My favorite is my second Valdican novel, and it's a horror, New Orleans murder mystery horror. I try to give each of my novels a different theme, partially because I don't want to rehash the same story again. But not just for my readers, because it's boring to me. So I try to give each of them a different theme than the other. And that one ended up being my favorite, but I think Ashes is actually my best. So, but I always enjoy, everybody will tell me what their favorite book is, and it's always different. They've got a different reason. So I don't know, it's kind of fun. I'm glad that not everybody says that one of them's my best, because that means all the others stink. So every one of them, at some point, somebody said, that's my favorite book you did. So I was like, oh, good.
So yes, guys, so leave us a comment and let us know.
Okay, there's actually a comment from Mark, and it's for you, Seth. So, Seth, you're way too modest, and you are 1000% an influencer. So many people value your recommendation. I'm agreeing with him. So, you have your YouTube channel, and can you tell us more about it? Like, why did you start it, and how did you come up with the characters that you play?
Okay. My first novel, Dameron, we released in 2014. And around the time when you're doing your debut novel, and your publicist, who was the one that got to witness me embarrass the hell out of myself with Mike Pondsmith, she's getting me interviews and podcasts and all that stuff to get the word out. And so this was, of course, something that's on my mind of how do I market myself. And a friend of ours who actually does this professionally as far as marketing said, you need to get yourself a YouTube channel. It's the second largest search engine out there. And I was like, well, what the hell would I make a YouTube channel about? It's like, we'll make it about writing. It's like, I've got one book out there. Brandon Sanderson has written like 97 books this past week. So, I mean, he's got a YouTube channel in writing. What the hell could I do? I can't compete with anything like that. And but he's like, well, think about it. So I thought about it. And 2.5 years later is actually when I started. And it wasn't, it was because I had a very bad game. It was like legendarily bad game. And after the game was over, I was doing a lot of self-reflection of what went wrong. And I said, I want to talk about the social contract of gaming, because there's a very big social contract, because it's a social thing. And I set up a camera. It was a terrible camera. It was like a little Canon point and click that we take on vacations. It was like real cheap. The onboard microphone, awful. I didn't know how to edit. I had nothing. I had no lighting. Worst video. And I basically wrote about a bunch of my thoughts down on a little pad, and I set the camera up badly. It was crooked. And I basically talked for 25 minutes over what was on this thing. And after I posted it, and basically you've taken that first step, then the next one came to me, and the next one, and the next one. So it took me 2.5 years to figure out what I thought I might know enough about that I could actually make more than a single video on. So it just kind of spontaneously happened, but it was all because of a bad game.
Wow.
Then when I started, I had a few ideas of different ones that I'd want to do in the future, one day when I worked my way up to that. And one of them I knew would require a green screen. And so it's near Christmas, so there's sales everywhere. And I think I'm on Amazon and I'm looking at a green screen, and it's not that expensive. But then it's like, for another dollar, we can add 5 more square feet. Like, oh, okay, I'll make that 5 square feet bigger. It's like, for another dollar, we can add 10 more square feet to that. Like, oh, okay, well, I'll make it a little bigger. So anyway, long story short, I've got the world's biggest green screen. I have no idea what I could possibly do with this thing. It's like you could sail a ship with this ridiculous sized green screen. I didn't think about how big it was. And my channel wasn't making money at the time. And I think I spent like $20 on it. Like, I need to use this more than once, because this channel, I think at the time, I think I was like, I made 4 cents yesterday. So how long would it take for me to pay this off for it to pay for itself? So I was doing a video, and I figured I would do a little bit where I was going to talk about an NPC that I used in that adventure. So I put on a suit that I had and a fedora that I had, and I stood in front of the green screen and I shot these little scenes with this character that I called Jack, which that was the name of the actual NPC. And people liked that, all 5 of them that watched my channel. And afterwards, I decided it was kind of fun. I kind of liked it. Like, now I know how to do that a little better. So I ended up bringing him back after like 3 videos where I didn't do that again. And then it became a regular thing of my Jack the NPC character, so I could banter with, or just kind of have like a little comedic scene, and it would break up the monotony of watching me just ramble, like right now. And then I think it's about 4 months after I started it, I did a video where I wanted to discuss players around the table, and I wanted to kind of demonstrate this little, it was a joke my friends and I used to talk about, of a banter between a GM and a player. So at the time I had very long hair, and I always just had it in a ponytail. So I just let my hair down, and I put a baseball cap on backwards, and I put on this Ramones shirt, and I did this, this like ha 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 voice, and I did this little skit with this player. And same thing. It was kind of fun. I decided I'd do that a couple more times. And then I decided I needed other players for him to talk to for some video. And I ended up kind of on the fly coming up with these 2 other characters that they could talk to. None of them had names. I thought of them as player 1, 2, and 3. And then after enough fans were like, you got to tell us their names, I finally named them. But none of it was planned beforehand. It was usually I would be in a situation where I needed this, and I came up with it, and I ended up committing myself for the rest of my life to it. So had I known that those characters would be so used and kind of beloved, I wouldn't have necessarily done them the way that I did them. One of them has, I part my hair on the side for this one, and it requires so much hair gel, it's disgusting to kind of get my hair to do that. I would not have done that had I known I was doing it more than once. So my wife has kind of gotten used to me saying, like, yeah, I'm going to shoot dweebles. I got to go, I got to go do this thing to my head. So had I known I was committing, I wouldn't have done that. But I thought it was like really recognizable and kind of stupid looking. So I did it. I just didn't know I would be doing it again and again and again. So all of it, I guess the long answer is it just happened.
Okay.
By accident.
Okay, and out of all of your YouTube characters, which one would you choose to become for the rest of your life? Probably not with the Joel one, but if you have to choose.
Okay. So Jack the NPC is kind of miserable. The NPC always dies. So it wouldn't be him. I wouldn't live that long. Out of my players, I've got one I've called Mustache Mike. Probably him. I am personally the most like Todd, who's the long-haired guy. I think I'm probably the most like him. But I like Mustache Mike. I like the lines I give him. So I'd say him.
Okay. So right now, how long does it take to make a video for you?
An average video, which is a review, I think those are the ones that I do the most. Those take 6 days.
Okay.
part of it is, I've got to write the script out because I script what I say. I go off script all the time, which is annoying, but I still organize my thoughts and write it out. And then I have to assemble all the art. I use a lot of art in my videos, so I have to do all that usually while I'm writing it. Um, it's usually in the last 2 days that I actually begin filming. So on the first day of filming, I will do what I'll refer to as jack scenes, and that's when I set up the green screen and I do all of my skits. Or if I'm doing one of my players around the table, I do all of them in one go. So I start with Dweebles because it requires he does something with his hair, and then I do Mike because he's got this little thing on. So I just kind of like throw my hair back and pull that on, and then I do Todd, which is a wig that I stole from my wife because after I cut my hair off, I had to have a long hair for him. So I stole my wife's wig. She's forgiven me, and so then I kind of go around and do all those, and then I edit all those together as individual clips, and that is the first day of filming. And then the last day is actually when I sit down and record the main part of the video, which is usually where I'm sitting here and I'm talking to the camera and I'm mispronouncing every seventh word. So I do that. And then after that's done, I just edit that together. And when I come to spots where I have a skit, I drop it in. And then when I need an image, I've already prepared all those in advance. So the final edit is actually pretty fast and kind of relaxing. Because all the work is done. A lot of people talk about they hate editing. It's like, are you kidding? That's like the easiest part because I've already done all the work. Yeah, I've just got to sit there and clip out all the spots that I just flubbed lines, or sometimes I'll have a word wrong in my head, so I'll say the word wrong throughout the whole thing. I was like, oh God, I look like an idiot. So that's actually the easiest part, but about 6 days. Okay. And it isn't necessarily in relation to how long the video is. Some of the hardest videos I've done were the shortest, especially if they're ones where the whole video is a conversation of 4 people around the table talking, and then sometimes it cuts to me in a costume playing out what's going on in the game. Those are a nightmare because so much footage that I had to do. And then when it's all done, it's like a short video. I'm like, oh, that was a lot of work for a 5-minute video.
Yeah,
but
it's true.
6 days.
Yeah, Asha knows the feeling because she's the video maker in our office, and yeah, it's hard work, and it's like you said, you don't necessarily see the outcome, and you don't see those days that was like full of work in this short video, but yeah.
No.
But actually, I love editing, so I agree with you. That
it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I love it.
There is a question from chat. Seth, can you please tell us Dweeble's real name?
No. Here's the thing. So a viewer who, back before I had named them, decided to name them. It was some random comment, and that one he called Dweebles. And I was like, man, that's just so good. I'm going to keep that. So I named the others, and some random commenter named him Dweebles, and I just kept it. So I know what his name is, but the thing is, if I share that, it's not as fun. It's kind of the wanting to know is a lot better. So I'd like to keep tormenting him with it. I do have it planned where I will reveal to him what it is, but I'll get to it. Maybe when I hit 100,000 subscribers, I can do that as something.
Well, Todd says that Dweeble is like Cher or Madonna. Only needs one name because he is an icon. So, yeah.
So with that character, I have it's a really awful goatee. It actually was a matching set with the mustache. It was from a little party store. It's supposed to be used one time at a children's party, and I've squeezed 4 years out of it, so I've gotten my money's worth. Wow. But when we had a kitten, I don't know how in the hell she could find that, but whenever I would film, I'd like take it off, she would appear out of nowhere and steal that thing and chew it up. So it is it's actually so mangled because the kitten kept playing with it, and I could replace it, but I don't. because it just makes me kind of happy to know this is kind of like this chewed cat's toy that's stuck to my face.
Okay.
Oh my god. Crazy. Okay, so in 2 days we have April's Fool Day. And is it celebrated in the US?
It is. I'm not a big April's Fool Day guy, and
Okay.
mostly it's because I am very gullible. So I am usually the victim of all the April Fool stuff. So
Me too.
Yeah.
I kind of treat it as like, okay, don't believe anything. Just, just hide, and it'll end. So I'm not a big practical joker in that sense. Partially because if I try to do a practical joke, I can't. I have a terrible poker face, so everybody knows that I'm obviously messing with them because I've kind of got this stupid grin that I'm not aware of. So I'm like, so it's not really one of my big ones.
Okay, so you've been pranked like a lot, if you.
I have some friends that are very good. They're very, very, very talented. Or I'm also very gullible, so I think I'm just an easy mark for them. But yeah, no, it's more of my day of being a victim than it is of me pranking anybody.
Okay. Okay, we actually have this question from our user, but like from Instagram. It's a weird question, but I think it's, yeah. If you had a choice between two superpowers, being invisible or flying, which would you choose? So, invisible or flying?
Invisible, and I would use it for evil.
This was my next question, like fighting crime or doing be a villain. Okay, so okay.
Look, I got to be honest. I could say like, oh, I would do good with it. I wouldn't. I would be bad. So invisible.
Invisible. Okay.
Okay, so another weird question. You've been given an elephant. You can't give it away or sell it. So what would you do?
With the elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is from our user too, so.
Okay. Wow. Man, I don't know. I don't even know what you like. How much do elephants eat? I'm sure they eat quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot.
Okay. Well, first, it would be my main ride around town. I would definitely have to go to the grocery store riding my elephant. Mostly because why else would you have an elephant?
I think that's a
So
great
I guess-
answer, really.
I guess I would mostly use it for transport. I mean, I don't know what else I could do with it. I mean, I could plow. I don't know. I don't know what I could possibly do with an elephant other than just ride to the grocery store and be known as the guy that's got the elephant.
Okay. Okay, so change of the topic. Tell us about the adventure modules you've written, because we know that you have done that.
Okay. My first one that I published was for Call of Cthulhu, and that was it's called A Mother's Love, and that is set in the town of Innsmouth from Lovecraft's story, and that one is. I kind of humanize the monsters in that one. I wanted to give a little bit more than the cold, it's an evil monster sort of thing. So the mother is the monster, and it's a little bit of sympathy. They're still horrible, but I wanted to at least make them a little bit more sympathetic. And that collection, The New Tales of the Miskatonic Valley, that was in, won the ENnie Award in 2020. But I usually don't like to call myself a two-time ENnie winner because that was definitely a massive group project, and I was just one small cog in a very large project with a lot of people. So I like to think that I didn't drag them down. So I was good enough to allow them to win and not be the weak link. And so that was with Call of Cthulhu. There is going to be more that I have for Call of Cthulhu, but I am not at liberty to discuss
Okay.
those yet. That has been in the pipeline for a long time. Then for the game Traveler, the science fiction game, I have one that I've written for them that is called The Hunt for Saber 4. It is a mystery. I guess coming from Call of Cthulhu, I like mystery adventures, so I did a mystery with them. And the other thing that I was tapped to do with that game is I took two old 1980s adventures, like from 1981, 1982. One is called Murder on Arcturus Station, which is actually my adventure is a prequel to it. And I was given free reign to modify and update that to the newest edition because it's been out of print for years. And I did a review of it. I think it's brilliant. In a lot of the times with older scenarios, once they go out of print, they're kind of gone and they're kind of lost forever. And I wanted this one to come back. So Mongoose said, okay, then do it. And I did it. And they published it. And the other one is called Death Station, which has always just been a wonderful name to say. And I did the update for that one as well. But I didn't write it as much as I had a lot of liberty given to me as an editor, I think. So I've written two adventures, one for Traveler, one for Call of Cthulhu, plus brought back these two other Traveler adventures. So it was a lot like writing it, except for the fact that I didn't write it. I didn't come up with the ideas. I just knew how to make them better.
Okay.
But, there's a difference between that and creation.
Okay, so other than making videos, gaming, writing, what do you do in your free time?
Yeah, man, not a whole lot. A lot of laundry. Well, not right now. I'm about to hear about that. So I mostly just hang out. We used to do a lot more travel. That's kind of been kiboshed the past couple of years. So used to, that was our big thing, is we'd do a lot of just traveling. We'd try to get out of the country about once a year and go see somewhere else, or if we were going to stay in the country, go somewhere really far away and very different than where we are. So I've been really looking forward to getting back to travel and adventure and being lost in some strange place that I may or may not know the language. So that's the big thing that I used to do a lot more of. But outside of gaming and YouTube and writing, that is most of what I do. Lots of that and bad movies. I like watching bad movies.
Okay. Another question for R. Jones. Seth, will you ever do a live play podcast?
No. I'm not much of doing the recorded games. I mean, I've joined in them. Earlier today, I did one with the How We Roll podcast guys as a player, so I'm not opposed to doing them at all. But a lot of people wanted me to run those, and so much of gaming for us is my friends and I being a bunch of dorks together and being like big kids. So it's kind of our day just to be dorks, and having a camera or a microphone in the room would actually detract from the fact that we don't have to answer to any responsibility outside of us at the table. And a lot of the times during our games, it will be interrupted as somebody's like, oh, let me tell you what's going on with my job or my wife or my kids or, my ailing grandparent. And so we end up sharing a lot of very personal things about ourselves because we're just a bunch of friends in the room together. And we couldn't do that if there's a microphone. We would censor ourselves. That would always be in the back of our heads that we are being listened to. And that kind of detracts with the whole reason we're doing it. And I've talked to my players about it, and it was unanimous that game days are for us and us alone. So that's it.
Okay. Another question from chat. There's Seth. Are you coming to ColosseumCon?
I am. That will be my first con in 2 years. So I will be there. I only have one event that I'm doing. I'm doing a panel discussion on making a YouTube channel and podcasting because I also do have a podcast. Aha, there is one more thing I do. I do actually have a podcast, the Modern Mythos podcast, where we're mostly talking game theory. So I'll be doing that at Chaosium Con, and I'm in a few games. The problem is with any convention, any time that there is a set schedule, the one thing you want to do is always at the exact same time as the other thing that you want to do, or the thing that you really have to do. So the game that I actually really wanted to play when I was there is called Seventh Sea. And like the one Seventh Sea game I could join into is at the exact same time as the only actual obligation that I have. it's like 2 days. They could have any time. That 1 hour. So, but I'm in a couple ventures. I'll mostly just be there, hanging out and seeing people. So yes, I will be at Chaosium Con.
And having your
in
own sets with
1
you,
week.
right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm
I'll
getting
be flying those with me.
Okay, so there's this also comment which was somewhere here. Okay, so third life goal: get Seth to show up and fanboy again. So can you show us again how fun, like what kind of fanboy you are, like during,
Oh, okay. So I'm sure that if it had been recorded, it would not look as horrible as it was in my head, or it might look more horrible. I mean, it was just like that, just like bubbling stupidity out of your mouth. God, I didn't know I could do that. It's horrible.
Okay. Okay, so as you all know, Q Workshop is Polish company and we make our dice in Poland. So tell us, Seth, do you know any Polish words, like, but not the bad ones, like.
No, I do not.
You don't, okay.
I don't.
So maybe we can
Teach me something.
Yeah, teach him something.
Like what? Like good morning?
Okay, good morning. It's like plain. Okay, so dzień dobry.
Well, I'm going to need you to say that
I
slower.
know. Dzień
J?
dobry.
Dobra?
Nice.
Dzień dobra?
Nice.
Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobra? I'll forget this
It's
in 2
really
minutes.
good. So, okay, right now you can say dzień dobry and every Polish bee will be like your fanboy. So, yeah.
Is it Jing dobra? It's like an ing and like a
Dzień?
jing?
Dzień.
Yeah,
Dzień?
it's hard, dzień. Nie. Oh, we choose like really hard words.
Yeah, it's a hard word.
Oh, yeah, but it's really good. It's really good. Okay.
And so I do have one question.
Oh, yeah.
I have been informed by some of my Polish viewers that I don't know how to pronounce my own last name.
Sorry.
Could you enlighten me?
Yeah, we have discussed that, and we know that you say something like Skorkowsky, and for us it's Skorkowsky.
Yeah.
Oh, Skorkowsky?
Skorkowsky.
Yeah. It's more like, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can pronounce your own name. Yeah, that's right.
Well,
Polish
I
viewers
tried
are
to look
right.
at one online thing on how to do it, and it was like, that doesn't even sound remotely like my name. I can never trust an online translator pronunciation thing. But Skorkowski?
Skorkowsky. Yeah, exactly.
So we had thought. My family has lived in the United States for just over 200 years, so we haven't pronounced it, the old country way in so long. That's just how we pronounce it,
So
which is evidently wrong.
So would you like to visit Poland someday?
I would love to.
Great.
Great, you have open invitation.
Like I said, I actually do want to get back to a lot of travel again, and so yes, I would love to. If nothing else, then anyone that sees my name will probably assume that I remotely know how to pronounce even my own name. But
Yeah, but I mean, our food is great. So I don't know if you ever tasted Polish cuisine, but it's it's really great. So it's
But
one
have
reason for
not.
that. If not, okay, so there's your chance in the future.
so I'm also a travel girl, so I miss it very much. But yeah. So
It'll return.
yeah. So where have you been? Like, because
Um,
for me, Asia is like the best place to be. But
see,
what do you
my
think?
wife has traveled all over Asia with her work. I've actually always been really jealous because she's China, Korea, Indonesia, and I've never gotten to sneak in her luggage and go with her on those. Uh, I have done, outside the Caribbean islands, I've done Italy a few times.
Oh, it's beautiful.
This year was our 10 years since we did it. We did Carnival in Venice
Oh,
a
nice.
few years ago, where we did the big masked ball events. And we had to carry all the costuming. It was wonderful. And then we got uh, what are they? We got an apartment while we were there, so we had to buy groceries while we were in Italy, which I thought sounded a lot easier until you're looking at an aisle of milk and you're not really sure what animal the milk is from because you don't know the language. So it's only a lot more stressful than you think it would be. It's like, oh, we'll just go pick up some stuff, and now you're looking at the stuff. I have no idea what any of this stuff is. So we've done Italy several times. Done Scotland. I've done Israel and Jordan. I think that was our last international trip. Was I had a friend that got a job in Israel, and he basically said, "I've got an apartment. I've got all these connections. All you got to do is get here." And none of our friends took him up on it. He was stationed there for 2 years, except for us. And we're like, "Okay, we're coming. We're going to sleep at your apartment." He's like, "Come on." So we did that, and then went over through Jordan for a couple days. So that was a lot of fun.
Mm.
Everything after that was really short. Like my one trip into Paris was half a day. So
Wow.
I really don't count.
Oh,
That
it
is
counts.
no,
But
I mean
it's
like
far away.
I had enough time to like ride the subway. We went through Notre Dame. Went like a couple blocks. And then I was like, okay, get back on the subway. We got to go back. But we had this really long surprise layover. So I
Okay,
don't even count
okay.
that. It was more of like a trailer
Okay.
for when we finally get to do a full vacation in France. So I was like, here's a little taste of what it'll be.
Okay, that's great, and well, I think that well, it's 4 a.m. So thank you very much for answering our questions. And for you guys, we have something else. Today we announced a photo contest, and the contest task is to take a dice theme photo with noir flavor. To take part in that, you need to be our Facebook community member because there you can find the competition post.
So the contest lasts until 6th of April, and that's the official release date of Seth Skorkowsky RPG Icon Dice Set.
And the prizes are great because they are Seth's book signed by him and also voucher for our shop. So grab your cameras and phones and shoot some pics, and we wish you good luck.
Yeah.
Okay, can we check the chat again if it's
In the meantime, please remember to subscribe our YouTube channel and of course Seth Skorkowsky channel and other social media.
Oh, there's this question from Mark. Seth, do you remember your first TTRPG character you ever played?
Yes, his name was Barrick. He was a elf because, of course, he was. It was in basic Dungeons and Dragons, so he was, I guess, a fighter mage. But at that level of D&D, race and class are the same thing. So like all elves are the same. So that was my first one, Barrick, and he didn't last very long. So, but I remember him.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so if you have any more questions,
It's like last chance.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
At this point, it's 4 a.m. We could just turn this into like a sunrise show.
Well, yeah, actually,
Well, it's
we
still
don't have
dark outside.
Yeah, it's too dark for that.
Okay, I figured we could just move this to the roof of the building. We could have the sunrise behind you as you're drinking coffee. Been awake for
Yeah,
24
still
hours.
yes.
Yeah, sounds lovely.
Yeah, and this is our cups of coffee. So
You're
it's-
so Polish.
oh
yeah.
yeah, it's like folklore design. That's true.
That is,
And it's,
that's a serious.
yeah,
Yeah.
big one.
I respect that. I like that mug.
There's actually nice comment from WRPG. I can easily say I got my job now thanks to Seth. So, yeah, really well done, Seth.
Wow, that's impressive.
Okay, so I think Marek. Good morning, Poznań. Yeah, good morning to you too. Okay. So also there's this question if your dice will be available at ChaosiumCon. So as you told us, you will have them with you.
So they will not be for sale yet because basically ChaosiumCon was so right next to release, and it's also a long way from Poland that you guys aren't going to have anything there. So I will have them.
So,
But
yeah.
I will, because I'm not going to be selling them because there's people there that are actual vendors. So I will usually do a few as giveaways. I mean, I might like do it as a dare, like, I don't know. I haven't figured out what qualifications it is to get a dice set, but I will have some with me. So I don't know, but I will have them, but I will not be charging for them. I will be mostly, getting dares. I'm not sure yet.
Okay, guys, so I think
I
it's
won't have
even
many.
better to have it for free. And right now it's a pre-order, so just visit our store and you can get Seth Skorkowsky dice set.
Yeah, and actually, we as a Q Workshop will be in Boston, PAX East convention, so you can get those dice there, and also next Origins, Columbus, Ohio, and Gen Con, Indianapolis, so you can go to our booth and just get those dice there. So, without shipping cost. So it's it's better.
And so are you two going to Gen Con? Because I will be there for that.
Oh.
event.
Well, we have to talk to our boss. So
Then we could do round 2 where we're all sitting there drinking coffee
yeah, and I will bring my
at the
cup.
same time zone.
But maybe not 4 a.m.
Okay.
Enough coffee, it's fine.
Okay, so thank you again for joining our interview, and thank you, Seth, for answering all the questions. And and remember to subscribe our YouTube channel
Yeah, again.
again. and
Well, thank you for staying up so very late or early, depending on your interpretation of it.
well, I'm really.
I can see your eyes just getting tired.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to sleep
Yeah,
now.
we're definitely going back to bed. So thank you guys, thank you Seth, and see you again
Soon.
soon. Bye.